Okay, imagine this with me for a second. An elderly woman, her life's already spanned decades, right? And she's facing this huge personal crossroads. She's getting ready for a big move, going through, a lifetime of stuff packed away in an old trunk. And then, tucked away in there, she finds this invitation, an invitation that just blows decades of silence wide open.
Okay, let's dig into this a bit. Because that invitation, it's a direct line to these incredible hidden stories of courage from World War II in occupied France. We're drawing from the powerful story, The Nightingale.
Yeah, and what's really interesting here is how you see these seemingly ordinary lives just transform into these battlegrounds of conscience,
Yeah.
where the choices people make end up defining everything. So, our deep dive today, it's into the extraordinary paths taken by two sisters, Vienne and Isabel. Their lives went in completely different directions under the occupation, and it created this legacy that honestly nobody really knew about until decades later. We're going to explore how heroism isn't always like loud and flashy. Often it's found in those quiet, really agonizing decisions. So this elderly woman, we find out pretty quickly, is Vienne. She's preparing to move, and her son, Julien, he's helping her sort through this old trunk. And that's when they find this invitation to a passeur's reunion in Paris. Now, a passeur, just quickly, that was someone who helped people escape, get across enemy lines. And this specific reunion, it's honoring the Nightingale, who was also known as Juliette Gervais. And Julien is just completely floored. Like, this is a whole side of his mother he never even suspected existed.
Exactly. It's this immediate signal, isn't it, that there's this whole family history full of untold stories just sitting there. Vienne's story, back in her village, Carrivaux. It started with this strategy of just trying to comply after her husband, Antoine, went off to war. She had to endure German officers, even high-ranking ones, living in her house. Captain Beck, then von Richter. And you can feel how this daily violation, sort of echoing the trauma her own father brought back from the Great War, it just builds up inside her. It's this quiet, desperate fight to keep her family safe. Her compliance, it wasn't giving up. It was more like a shield, a calculated one.
Yeah, that's a really key point. But even with that shield, even with compliance, there comes a breaking point, right? That strategy of quiet survival, it just couldn't hold forever. The occupation got worse, and it eventually pushed her into this desperate, active resistance. We see her start secretly sheltering Jewish children our age on Georges. The danger just skyrockets, and it leads to this incredibly pivotal, violent moment. She actually kills Captain Beck to protect Isabel. It's not some public heroic stand. It's raw, visceral self-preservation and love. Imagine carrying that weight, that secret, for decades.
And then you have Isabel. Such a stark contrast to Vienne's quiet endurance. Isabel's path is just. It's fiery, active defiance right from the get-go. You follow her early rebellion. She sees the chaos in Paris as the occupation begins, and her decision is immediate. Join the Free French resistance. Do something. She becomes the Nightingale, the celebrated hero in a way, guiding, over 100 downed Allied airmen over the Pyrenees Mountains into Spain, almost 30 crossings, incredibly dangerous work. And she was clever, using her youth, these false papers, to kind of fly under the radar.
It's so easy to admire Isabel's bravery, that overt heroism. But Vienne's path, enduring the enemy in her own home day after day, that feels almost more psychologically brutal in a way. Does the story sort of imply one kind of courage is harder?
Well, that's what's so powerful about the narrative, I think. It shows that courage just shows up in so many different ways, and each way has its own profound cost. Isabel faced constant external danger, risking her life on those crossings. Vienne faced this internal, daily chipping away at her spirit. But that kind of daring path, Isabel's path, it carried huge risks, and inevitably she was caught, tortured brutally by the Gestapo. And then in this ultimate act of sacrifice, her father, he claims he's the Nightingale to save her, and he's executed. Isabel survives Ravensbrück concentration camp, but obviously that experience changes her profoundly.
Which brings us back to the present day, to that reunion in Paris. It's more than just a get-together, isn't it? It's this moment of huge reconciliation, of revelation. The elderly Vienne, she gives this incredibly emotional speech, and she finally tells the whole story, Isabel's heroism, her father's sacrifice to everyone there, including her son, Julien. And for him, it's this profound moment, finally understanding his mother's hidden strength, closing that gulf between them, as the book says. And the message that kind of lingers, as Vienne puts it, it's quite poignant. Wounds heal, love lasts, we remain.
Yeah. And if we try to connect this to the bigger picture, this deep dive really shows how heroism isn't just, one big loud action. It's often found in those quiet, agonizing choices. Choices made by people who seem ordinary but are under this extraordinary pressure. It's about all the different ways courage can look, whether it's that quiet compliance that protects the people you love or the open defiance that puts your own life on the line immediately. It really makes you question the standard definition of a hero.
So what does all this mean for you listening right now? What incredible stories, maybe hidden acts of courage, might be tucked away in your own family's past, just waiting? Perhaps, like these characters, you also have secrets, experiences that shaped a legacy, just waiting for the right moment to come to light.